Okay, somebody saw it very quickly. I posed the question of what else can you tell me about the graph? Okay? Well, one thing that somebody picked right up on is, well, this point's going to be on the graph. Because at this point f of x is 0, right? Unless g of x happens to be 0, and it doesn't. Okay? It's positive, right? If g of x unless g of x happens to be 0, h of x is going to be 0. So this point is on the graph. So at this point, f of x equals 0. G of x is not equal to 0. So h of x is 0 over not 0, which is 0. So that's what we have at this point. So that's a point on the graph of h of x. Okay? How do we get from here to here?
Do the same thing, just backwards.
I'm sorry?
I said just do the same thing, just backwards. I like the opposite, basically.
Yeah, it's not going to be an asymptote because it's actually going to hit the axis, right?
So would
That,
you basically...
let me say one more thing about an asymptote. This is an asymptote because you never actually have a point on this line, right?
Yeah.
We keep getting closer and closer and higher, faster and faster, but we never touch the line. That's an asymptote. So this kind of looks like an asymptote, but we touch the line, right? Okay? Well, somehow we got to get from here to here. It doesn't just stop here and then suddenly turn at a right angle and go through this point. It has to go smoothly because all these functions have to be smooth. So we just have to have a smooth graph that goes from here over to here. So it's going to do this, keep getting closer and closer. That's actually going to hit at this point, right? Now, is that consistent with the fact that the function has to be positive on this interval? Yeah, it stays positive until you get to this point, and then it's 0. Then what's going to happen? Well, it's going to be negative, right?
Yeah.
For all the reasons we saw over here. That, you establish where things are positive and where they're negative. That's the first thing you do. Okay? Then you work within that framework. And, where they're 0, positive, negative, 0. So here we are. We're at this point, and now things are going to go negative, right?
Yeah.
Because now f is negative and g is positive, so you're dividing the negative by a positive, you're going to get a negative. Well, we'll worry about that in a minute. What are we going to do over here? Well, it's a little less clear what happens over here. Okay? But we know that the function is going to stay negative because g is going to stay negative and f is going to stay positive, right? And of course, we've already said that it has to stay negative because of that. Okay? So we know this much of the graph, and we know the graph is going to go negative here. Okay? There's more, but I just want to concentrate on the development of the asymptote and what happens with the zeros at this point. Okay? Make sense? So there will be a problem where I ask you to do what we've done here.